Well, hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Rebecca. I'm a knitter and a maker based in the north of Spain, and today I've got a video where I'm going to review my summer knits, the last 3 summer knits that I've made, what worked and what didn't work, and the 3 things that I'm working on this summer. Let me first pull my Maggie cardigan. So this is my modified Maggie cardigan. This is a super highly popular pattern by Petite knit. It's originally made with short sleeves, but a lot of people have modified for long sleeves, and it's knitted in sport weight yarn. I think it's with 3 and 3.5 millimeter needles. The gauge is 23 stitches for 32 rows. I think the nice detail of this very simple cardigan is the construction. It's knitted the same way that the poppy pullover does. I'm not really sure how to call this because I think it's kind of a satin sleeve momentum, and it fits incredibly well. I made mine with cotton, and my modification was that I did a night cord collar that I copied from the Sailor Top by Kyoto. I would like to make another Maggie cardigan. I actually would like to make like a scrappy Maggie cardigan. I think it's just a really well fitted cardigan. However, this is a piece that I actually don't wear at all, and there's some reasons. So one of the summer challenges that I have when it comes to knitting is choosing the right yarn. I live in a climate that can go from mild summer to incredibly hot summer very quickly. This type of cotton, which is like 100% cotton, is on one side really heavy, and on the other side is a yarn that I find that I row a lot. So because of the construction that you have to knit flat at some point, I think at the front you are gonna probably see, you can probably see there right through here how much I'm rowing. However, the thing that bothers me the most about this garment is it's too heavy. It's one lesson that I took from this garment that I'm actually thinking about frogging and using the cotton to make something with crochet. So this is something that I'm actually going to frog and hopefully make of it like a crochet bag, or just keep it for like a future crochet project because the color is really good. That brings me to my like triangle dilemma with like yarn and summer. My main struggle is always that if I find something affordable, I don't like the colors or I don't like the composition. If I like the composition, I don't like the colors or it's too pricey. So usually I prefer like something like cotton linen blend or a cotton linen and viscose blend. But I find that yarns that are really popular like Sandnesgarn Line or Teen Line have like a really good variety of colors for like the more kind of like neutral / colors that go with everything, and then they have like too bright colors. However, if you look at the yarns that are for like winter or autumn, the variety of colors is so much wider and it has so much more nuance, and that's what kind of like bothers me from summer. In the summer of 2024, I test knitted the City Top by Tori Yu, which is this type of like tank top that has a saddle shoulder construction and a rib detail on the side, and it's beautiful written. I really like Tori Yu patterns. This is knitted in finger and weight yarn, and I know that's gonna be like a challenge for a lot of people, but it goes really fast, and I think it's 24 stitches and 32 rows, and I use a 3.5 millimeter needle, and this yarn is my perfect and ideal composition yarn. So this is a yarn by Mayer. I'm gonna put again the brand in here. It's cotton bambulino, and it's a blend of linen, cotton and viscose. So as you can see, it has a lot of drape. I found that this is really nice even in like the temperatures that I have today. I would wear this. One of the challenges with this top is that this straps are really thin, so I think you have to wear either no bra or a strapless bra, and I know for some of the bustier friends that I have this will be a problem because I also sometimes like to have some support because I'm more comfortable with that. And this is currently staying as a kind of summer loungewear top. The only con of this top is that the yarn, which I adore, doesn't have a huge range of colors, or at least they're not available where I live. And then the third top, which is my favorite one, is the Tolsta Tank by Rebecca. This is knitted in sport weight yarn, so I think it's an easy modification if you just measure your gauge. And you have like 3 different necklines. It's a really uber popular pattern in summer for a reason, and it's knitted bottom up, while the other ones were knitted top down. But don't let that put you off. I think I knitted this in like a week because I just added modifications and colors, and making stripes always makes everything much more enjoyable. This one is knitted with the same yarn as the previous one, which is cotton bambulino, but I added also like the yellow one and the blue color and made this sequence of stripes. I added this detail, which is like 3 rows knitting and 3 rows of ribbon that I learned from the Cloud blouse. And again, I did the pickup for the sleeves or the underarm and the neck in that beautiful I-cord that I learned from the Kutobakika tutorial that you can find for free on YouTube. This is the thing that I wore the most. Now, problem with this one is, again, it's just a tiny little bit too cropped. So in the ideal world, I could have done one more of this section and then the ribbon. But it's fine. It's a problem that I have, not the pattern, because I always want to finish things quicker. This is beautiful and the yarn is perfect, but the colors don't fit my wardrobe anymore. Sometimes with summer knitting, your style changes in those 3 years, and I find it really difficult now to pair this with a pair of bottoms. So again, this is more like a summer top that I used to go to the beach whenever I go, or just to lounge around the house. Now, with that into account, my plan for the summer was just very simple. One was to stash past my summer knits, and with that I mean that I'm just going to use the summer yarn that I currently have, and I'm not gonna get carried away by looking at all these beautiful colors and all those beautiful blends and compositions that come up in summer, because knitting is a slow craft and I'm not gonna have time to do more than I'm actually doing. Another challenge that I have with summer knitting, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, is that I wanna have fun while I make something, but also I don't wanna do anything boring. So some of the basics can be a little bit boring. And by boring, I don't mean that it's bad that you do a basic, but I mean that sometimes the details of the fit are a little bit of a miss. On the other side, I'm not a lace person. Like, I am not your lace kind of gal. It's not my vibe. So I feel like if I choose something fun, I miss functionality. And if I choose something functional, I miss an element of surprise or a twist. So the things that are currently on my needles are all things that I'm actually going to wear with the 3 bottoms that I wear the most in summer, are things that are made of stash, and are things that I could consider a staple with a twist. So like a staple, but like a cool top at the same time, if that makes sense. The first thing that I started working on was a self-drafted satin sleeve kind of sweater top. I was looking in Pinterest and I have saved quite a lot of inspiration for this type of like long sleeve, open gauge summer knits that are usually made with linen or with like similar type of like summer yarns that are like really laid back and cool, and people use over tank tops or over kind of like tank tops that have like a lace detail over here. I quite like the idea of having something that I can wear on top of a really basic black tank top or a really basic cream tank top. I've had this yarn, I'm sorry because that's gonna look like this, which is Basic Yarn Lino. As you can see, I've unraveled it. I was making a poncho because I was highly influenced by the internet, but then I decided I'm not gonna wear a poncho as much as this, and I also didn't want to make a poncho just because I was feeling really influenced. I may end up doing one, but for now. It's a really beautiful strawberry type of color, and for being linen, it's actually incredibly nice. I know that it can be a bit pricier than other linens, but I find that Basic Yarn is a brand that never disappoints me when it comes to yarn. So I had 4 balls of this, and it took me a while to find the right pattern, which is why I ended up going to my knitting book, which is this one, and I've used before this book to help me self-draft an intarsia cardigan for a baby. So I look at the instructions for a satin sleeve, and I cast on Friday. Today is Monday, and between watching the game and just having some free time, so my idea is to make like long sleeves with this. And I put a picture that I have from Pinterest, and it's gonna look like an asymmetrical kind of end that I'm gonna figure out how to do, and then add hopefully an I-cord in the neck and an I-cord in the sleeves, and that will be something that I will wear with something like a basic tank top, something like, for example, these black trousers that are made of linen, some flip-flops, and this on the top. It has like a really good drape. Obviously I still have to block it, and I'm quite happy with this. I have self-drafted this, and I know some people are gonna be like appalled because they cannot stand like really open gauge that is irregular, but I think that's kind of like the charm of it. I also think it's a really good color for summer, and I'm really chuffed. I've only used so far a ball of this, and it's like 50 grams a ball, and whatever is left from here. So I have more than enough, and I'm super excited to make my first actual self-drafted garment for myself. The other top that I'm working on is the Kyoto Keyhole top made by Rosh. This is a pattern that you can actually look for in Ravelry to get all of the information, but you acquire by her coffee account. It's a made-to-measure pattern that has like a keyhole at the front. I feel like there was a time when I started knitting like 3-4 years ago where a lot of people were making like keyhole details, but usually at the back. This year it kind of like exploded to make like a cute keyhole top, kind of like a nice cute summer top. There's another popular pattern out there and it's a raglan, but it's not really size inclusive. And this one that is made to measure, and it's going to be the first time that I try a made to measure pattern, is actually size inclusive. The thing with this pattern is that you can actually do it with any yarn. You just have to make a swatch, and then on the pattern you have instructions, and I don't want to give away too much, to input all of your measurements, the measurement of your gauge, and to work out the pattern to your own measures, which I think is a really cool thing. I'm not sure if I chose the right one. That said, maybe I measured myself wrong because I am knitted at the moment. I think this must be the back. I've not like read a lot, and I'm just shaping over here the armhole. But this, you see what I mean? I think it may be too much, too wide. But again, I've not read the pattern ahead of me. I'm just trusting the process here, and you know, if it's too big, I'll go and size down and I'll measure myself again. This is a yarn that I used to make the Maggie vest last year. This is a discontinued yarn that I've thrifted on Vinted, and it's from Knit Crate, and it's a blend of linen, cotton, and I think rayon or viscose. It's in a beautiful color, one of those colors that I sometimes miss from summer yarns. So I'm maybe playing a little bit of yarn chicken here, which is my specialty, but this is my second top. And my third one is gonna be like an adaptation of a good basic. So I'm making the Brightest by Lily Kate Makes, which is a pattern that I tried to do last year and I left midway. And this year I just couldn't remember which needle size I used, at which stage I was, because Silly Me didn't write notes. So I've started again. The thing is, I know the Sabai top is really uber popular, but I'm in a moment of my life where I kind of like refuse to make it. And instead, I want to work with patterns I already own. So my plan is to adapt the Brightest and just not knit the cap sleeves and make it like a tank top, which is something that some projects on Ravelry have already made. I've barely started, like literally I've cast on, but I can show you the yarn. And it's that cotton bambulino that I've used in these tops in the red color. And now I can actually give you the right blend. So this is the brand that I recommend if you're in Europe. I think you can get it, and it's a great summer yarn. And the composition of this one, 60% cotton, 30% viscose, and 10% linen, and in 50 grams you have 160 meters. Again, very affordable and great brand for summer. The pattern by Lily Kate Makes is knitted in fingering weight yarn, and this is a sport weight yarn. So I've already swatched, and I'm using 3.5mm needles instead of 3.25 and making size 3. The original pattern has options to shape. You will notice that you've got some bust shaping if you want to add some darts, and there's some shaping as well on the waist, and there's some kind of like nice detail on the side of like ribbon. I'm not sure if I will make all of those or if I will just leave it like really clean. I'm not really sure that I will make a lot of shaping, but we'll see how it goes, because she's really precise in her patterns, and this will be something that I actually will wear a lot to work. This is currently what's on my needle for summer. You see, summer is really brief, so I'm not committing to more than I can chew, and I'm using only yarn from Stash because I want to get rid of all my summer yarn this season. I would like to know if you're also knitting for summer, if you're leaning more towards crochet or another fiber art, if you also have the same knitting struggles that I have when it comes to summer knitting. But with that, I'm gonna leave you for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.